It's early January, a dreary day. The sort of day you're glad to be on transit rather than facing the rain, or walking the sidewalks, or driving through the constant drizzle. I'm riding the SkyTrain, across from 3 kids in their late teens or early 20s. 1 white, 1 black, and 1 Asian. And I mention this not because it's the setup for a racist joke, but because it will soon prove somewhat relevant. I'm sitting across from them on those benches that run along the side of the older SkyTrain cars. And were it not for their conversation, I'd probably not be taking much notice of them. One kid, the white one, is bragging about his sexual conquests, naming names, talking about his prowess, and the like. I smirk, because I remember being that young and cocky, dare I say stupid, what I like to tell myself was not so long ago. The bragging kid sees me smirking and he calls me. You laughing? How many girls have you screwed, old man? Do not start a fight, is what I tell myself. Women, is what I actually say. Long pause. So he knows that I've called him out on girls. And men, I add. Let's not embarrass ourselves by comparing. These are fighting words. And even as I can hear the better angels on my shoulders say, stop, I make matters worse by winking. You cannot deliver a nasty line and then wink without expecting a fist fight to break out. But then everything changes. The silent kid at the end, who happens to be black, speaks up. And at first, I wonder if he's intervening to save me. I fucked my first women at 12. I can't help but note the plural women, not women. His friends and I all look incredulous. I think we glanced over at him to express this, and the braggart turned his attention away from me to him. But before he can speak up, the young man continues. They put a gun to my head, and they told me they would shoot me if I did not. His accent is distinctly African, and I won't try to do it justice here. The 3rd or 4th woman I said no to. They put a gun to her head, and they told me if I did not, they would shoot her. His story of being a child soldier continued for 20 minutes or more. It rolled out of him with the force of water breaking through a dam, talk of guns and machetes, and of fighting battles beside and against other children. And of course, he spoke of the women, as he repeatedly referred to them. Around us, the passengers on the very full SkyTrain car pointedly looked away, paying more attention to their books, their free papers, or phones than they had before. But for me and the 2 friends of the young African, there was no looking away. Remembering it now, I realized that while we couldn't look away, he never looked directly at any of us, never held a gaze as he spoke. He needed to tell his tale, but seemed to fear us seeing him. Each time he mentioned the women, his roving gaze dropped to the floor, his guilt about it seeming to hang heavier upon him than any of the other horrors. His story only ended when we entered the tunnel towards Granville Station, the sudden dimming of the light that descended, interrupting the darkness of the story, and reminding us all that we'd already missed our stops. There we got off, and that young man ran off. The other 3 of us were left crying in the station, and the 2 young men hugged. Is he going to be okay, I asked. And obviously, they couldn't say. In fact, I discovered that the other 2 young men only barely knew him. They had some classes with him. They'd sometimes have lunch with him or ride the SkyTrain home. But they weren't actually his friends. But they assured me they would check up on him. It's been 9 months, but that young man often comes to mind. I find myself wondering what happened to him after our train ride. I wonder if he's found happiness here in Canada, if he'll eventually be able to leave his darkness, his guilt behind. I find myself hoping that he'll find some peace, a peace two other young men and I didn't know we were so fortunate to enjoy before meeting him.